Genre play. First form. May 1st, and it feels much the same as it did 19 years ago. In stages like a play, setting the scenic work that is always already overdone by time. Fade in. Apartment, bedroom, furnished, college student. On the floor, hungover, the friend H having already left. On the floor, hungover, and the subject's stepfather calls. Strange, the subject thinks. Subject answered, with trembling and noticeable vibrato in stepfather's voice. He instructs the subject to make arrangements and that they have a few days to say goodbye. Blur. Sweetheart, I'll buy the tickets. The subject's Oma spoke but was not understood. Fade out. End scene. Second form. May 1st, and it feels as blurry as the first experience of an overdose 18 years ago. And not so much stages as a series of unrefined, undefined, refurbished sensations. Laying in a piss-smelling hospital bed, waiting to die, or someone to enter and pump the subject full of morphine. But the subject's dalliance is interrupted by the screaming man who has gouged his eye with a broken plastic spoon, probably silo or hefty, and came flanked on all sides with orderlies to be put to bed, strapped down, screaming, while subject goes between sleep and presence. Intuitions. Haunting the subject, it's not time yet. Third form. May 1st, and I'm feeling confessional. The anniversary consolidates innumerable times, clinging to a prescription pill bottle, your handwriting Motrin, inscribed over torn white adhesive that covered a translucent orange cylinder. 14 years since I lost a bottle, an object reminding me of having lost you, reminded me of how good handwriting is a lost art to us all. The irony that you will never read this, and that if there were a reader, I would guess rightly that this text, this poetic freighting of memory and feeling, is not my handwriting, although it remains saturated in my being, my disaster. Which is to say something more, but not less about what carries meaning and signifies. To remember your dying, that is, the recovery of so many scenes masked beneath your death. The recovery of a bottle, handwriting intact, would only be too useful to make such a petty statement. That your death was not an event if it has been all along a duration. Fourth form. May 1st, and honestly, nothing changed but items on a list of social agreements. These are not days that feel particularly poetic. They are not open to dialogue. They are not welcomed by those within earshot. No one desires to hear about you, Bob. These years and motifs have passed between my mother's death, my attempted suicide, and the present sense of ordering affect. Shall we be untouched by trauma and malignance? Shall we revive silence, such that silence might become preferable to all questions? Fretting always that I might forget the prefaces, may I speak about her? Can you hold space to hear about her? What would any of this mean? Is there a darkness that refines one or two feelings as though they were knives sharpened yearning to wound? Do all such words perform the agony of our short rehearsal for death that we may as well call life? Indeed, one does speak. One remains quiet and silent. One must bear witness to the otherwise of trauma. One does not provide malingering testimony. That concatenation is a death of its own. We must therefore divide and nullify ourselves. Write it, our/selves. Thus the pronoun implied by we is I, who must die in that epistemological sense, pretentious to consider that selfhood, the subject, is what withers as a poet rehearses form, silly that the person who remembers, who must bear the sense of reaching into that abysm of memory, and from its depths find that only a surface was there all along, dangerous because life draws upon the breath of memory and cannot respire in this new outside.